that went viral yesterday. That video, which as of recording here has more than 16 million views just on Twitter alone, features a definitely not drunk or on something woman by the name of Melissa Carone, who is an IT contractor for the election technology manufacturer Dominion Voting Systems, who claims to have witnessed poll workers at a voting center in Detroit counting thousands of ballots multiple times. And Carone was tapped by Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, last month to tell her story before the panel, and here is how part of it went.
The poll book is completely off. Completely off.
Off by 30,000?
I'd say that poll book is off by over 100,000. That poll book, why don't you look at the registered voters on there? How many registered voters are on there? Do you even know the answer to that?
No, I guess I'm trying to get to the bottom of this here.
Zero. There's zero.
So my question then is if the...
Oh shit, it's Agent 47. Hitman, you can't hide from us. Agent 47.
That's how many, wait, what about the turnout rate? 120%.
Oh, that's great. He's literally like, shh, you're ruining this. Stop it. You're ruining Yo. Okay, so I generally avoid any... anyway, sorry. I don't know if oh my God, I'm gonna go on a tangent for 20 minutes about this, aren't I? Yes, I am. So, yo, I don't know if they're really like, I don't cover voter fraud videos like this because I'm not going to give it a platform on my platform. It's funny to look at, it's funny to watch, but at the same time, it's also dangerous because like I might end up getting people in here who might believe in this bullshit. But for the sake of just saying, hey, what's going on, it's really gotten to the point where like these are the people who are standing up for justice. These are the patriots. And the perplexing thing about this entire thing, if there weren't 560,932 perplexing things about it, the one problem that I have, and it's the same problem that I have with conservatives across the board, where is the consistency? I just want consistency. If this was like a cohesive, targeted, like, we found this, and this is true, and we're using this thread to like spurl out into these things. Okay, let's listen to it. Maybe some shady shit was going on down. Maybe we need to fix. But like, you bring on these crazy ass human beings who say this ludicrous shit, and then with all the confidence in your chest, you agree to it without even beginning to. You agree to it without even beginning to understand. Like, is there no backlash for these actions? Are we just all like so subdued by the years of the shit that we've been through as a people in this country that we're just like, fuck it? Like, have we officially hit fuck it mode? Like, because if we hit fuck it mode, like, I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know what to talk about. Because if we're at fuck it mode, then all of what we know about reality is gone. I said this a stream ago. I've said this 2 streams ago. I'm going to keep repeating it every single stream until this is over. You cannot expect people to take you seriously when you weigh in somebody as serious. Let's say you had a brilliant lawyer. I'm going to use Johnny Cochran's name just because that's a recognizable name. You take Johnny Cochran and you have him take a dude off the street who's been homeless for 6 years and say, yeah, this guy knows that this Democrat was cheating in their election and threatening people to vote for them or they die. Like, the believability concept is one thing. You can frame an argument about what they saw, what they did, blah, blah, blah. But the reality argument is that dude's been nowhere near a Democrat. And how does he know? So now we're at a point where it's like people will get up. Remember, what was that other interview? Not interview. That other hearing where that guy came up and he was just screaming like wild, and he was saying some, hey, what up, Carl? Yeah, he is. Remember that other dude? What was it? It was, shit. Anyway, it was a guy who came up to the podium and he just started talking like crazy about how there's evil, and then there was the woman who was like, you guys need to cleanse it in Florida. Fuck it, I should have just defaulted to Florida. That's what I'm doing from now on. Anytime I think about a story that sounds absolutely asinine, I'm defaulting to Florida. So y'all, it's the same thing. Why do y'all? If you really think there's issues, fraud, etc., all this, blah, 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 why aren't you looking for more reputable people to back you? Regular citizens are not getting up and saying, I saw this, I saw that. You're finding weird-ass actors like this woman, and then I have to sit here and listen to it to even get the grasp of what you're trying to go for. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my God. Oh. Copium, not even once. Never see me on that. Never see me on that. Remember when Hillary Clinton went nuts after the 2016 election and was like, everybody who didn't vote Democrat is an evil devil. And remember when we went to the streets and was like, overturn it? No, we didn't. Yeah, you don't remember that because that didn't fucking happen. It's like everything that he said before he even started to gain traction for the 2016 election directly contradicts every move he's made since he got to be president. And this is the glaring example. Like, I really want to help Trumpers out. I really do. I really want to have a conversation with one, and I'm just like, yo, I understand you like him, but I want you to really, like, step 2 steps back. Is this a person that you would invite into your home? Is this a person that you would want representing your kids if something went down and they got framed for something? Is this somebody you want representing you? Like, there's too many episodes of this shit is crazy for me to even begin to say, yeah, there's some validity to it.
If ballots were counted multiple times, there's 2 options. Option number 1 is that the poll book numbers are not going to match.
They don't.
The actual. Not by thousands and thousands of votes. That's not what we see right now.
Take a look again. Take a look again.
That's what they did. Yo, how is she talking? It's like at this point, they're not even throwing darts at a board. They loaded up a machine gun with them, and they're just firing them across the country. If one even remotely gets near a dartboard, proof, got him, we got him, boys. Oh, we got him, boys. Like, are you serious? Is this where humanity time? If you're not down for humanity time, then this ain't gonna work for you. I need to ask y'all a question. When do we say enough is enough? Why are we humoring this? Why are these people being allowed to have court hearings? I remember the time where I got locked up. There was no lawyer there for me. It was an unjust arrest. I was walking down the street quite literally with my film crew, and some police officers came, picked us up on an attempted third-degree burglary charge. We didn't do any. When I say lies, when I say like things didn't happen, I mean reality. The events in question did not happen in the reality of the world. And there was no justice system for me set up. It was just, they said you're arrested, you go through the process. If we find something, we book you. If not, you let go. How can my life be low-key ruined by having that on a record, even if it's, I don't know, I've never looked up my own record. How can my life have such opposite reactions to people who literally make asses of themselves on national television, on the internet, and they just sitting there? She went home because this happened already. She went home and she went to sleep thinking, yeah, this is nice. I did a good thing. I'm so happy. I did a good thing. Like, what, how do you, and this was a question I brought up when I was talking about Ben Shapiro. How do you deprogram these millions and millions of people from even thinking, yeah, this has some remote plausibility? How? And I understand it from a regional, not even regional. I understand it from a household standpoint. These are things that you never had time to focus on. If we were all doing 9 to 5s, everybody was just working, there was no COVID or whatever, these are things that you couldn't spend hours paying attention to. So now you're knee deep in the process because the process is all that you have. So you're seeing these things unfold. There have been hearings on election fraud before. There have been hearings on misconduct in voting polls. There have been plenty of them. But they were reputable, so they didn't gain any traction. Now we've got idiots literally screaming, and I'm sorry, but they're idiots. Like, you want to be nice about it, and I can't be nice about it. I can't, in my heart of hearts, say, this is the conversation we need to be having. I can't sit here and say, this is how we should be talking about this, that, and the other, because it doesn't make any sense to me. And I remember when I made that Candace Owens video, and I was like, this can't be the one. This isn't going to be the point where we all start dividing ourselves over dumb ideals. But here we are, making it to hearings about election fraud from a person that doesn't even know how an election works. You gotta be kidding me. There is no layer of fundamental understanding that I could break this down to even understand why she thinks the way that she does. Maybe it's people cashing in on the 15 minutes of fame. You know, if Trump's going crazy, tweeting this and that, maybe I could jump in on the fray. Maybe I can get in on this because he's looking for people and maybe I get a nice 150 grand check out of it. But like, you're setting up such a dangerous precedent, to allow these people to even say, I witnessed something. Because you're fishing. And when you fish too hard, you're going to uncover something, which brings me to another point. We are only discussing election fraud in the states that Trump lost. We are not discussing election fraud in the states that Trump's won. In the states that Trump won. Therefore, the fuck are we talking about? Oh yeah, every state I won in, that's great, but every state I lost in, that's interesting, that's weird, that's suspect. That don't feel odd. Like, I feel like I'm screaming into a void. What are we doing right now as a nation? What are we expecting of ourselves? Like, I get it. Shit slowed down. You know, virus came over the world. Oh shit, what are we gonna do? But like, we are way too much in a technological age to be taking 6 steps back. We know about the Spanish flu and we know how they reacted to it. Why are we doing the same thing? How do we have literally all of human knowledge on the internet? You can, and I'm not advocating for you to do this, so don't even try to come at me, but you can order and look up literally anything. You need a new door? That's on the internet. You need a new camera? That's on the internet. You need a coffin to hide something? That's on the internet. How do we get all of that in one place where it's just a couple keywords away, and yet at the same time we have literal loss of thought in people like this? That's my piece on trying to figure out what the fuck is going on here.
What about the turnout rate? 120%?
If ballots were counted multiple times, there's 2 options.
Oh.
The actual. Not by thousands and thousands of votes. That's not what we see right now.
Take a look again.
Number 1.
Take a look again.
Option number 2 is that they essentially were filling in names of people who didn't vote.
Dead people too?
So is that?
Let's
I guess,
let
is that
Representative
your suggestion?
Johnson ask his question, and then when
I
he's
thought that
done,
was his answer. Okay.
Well, I guess that's
well,
my question here is why we're not seeing the poll book off by 30,000 votes. That's not the case.
What did you guys do? Take it and do something crazy to it?
Are you serious? What did you guys do? Take the poll book and do something crazy with it? Okay. So here comes the logical response, the rational response. You do not have fraud, therefore you covered it up too well. Something's missing between my hands right now that would put these 2 pieces together, and there is no sense of formal logic to make an argument. Reality. I don't fathom reality anymore because all it's been for me the last couple of weeks is trying to debunk things that just aren't true. And I feel like when we talk about the truth, we have things called personal truths and universal truths. And personal truths are okay. Personal truths are cool. Like, it's all right to have a personal belief in the status quo, something going on, energy here, energy there. It's okay. That's fine. But when you're sitting up there, oh, I remember now. The points of connectivity in your thought. If you don't know a logical conversation, logical debates have to have two methods of deriving a thesis. You have your truth and your logos, or your logic. Pathos is what you'll hear the truth mostly called to, but I like to say truth. That's how my philosophy professor taught it to me, and that's how I teach it to other people. So your pathos or the pathos in conversations like these are non-existent because they're playing on insecurities. They're playing on people's irrational fear. They stole our president from us. Like, no. It is not uncommon for someone to be so disliked that you're just a one-term president. That's it. That's all that happened. He fucked up enough that enough people were like, look, we can't do this no more. And yet we're still at the point of when 2016 happened, let's say, okay, Russia. Let's talk about the Ukraine investigation, all this stuff that was coming up that he was able to deflect and dodge away from, even though FBI, CIA directors have come out and said, yes, Russia interfered in our election. Okay, so we know these things to be truth. We know these things to be reality. This is not. This is just people who are so egregious that the money train is over, that they can't brag about, oh, MAGA, ha, 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 libtards, I'm going to 4 more years. Like, it's over. And when people lose their sense of identity, they lose their pathos as well. They lose the shield that they used to have to be able to deflect legitimate criticisms of today's country. And that was important for a lot of people who didn't have anything. It got worse when the coronavirus pandemic hit because a lot of conservatives were already rolling in dough. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. These last 40 years have been a conservative's best dream. Or no, let me even put it better. It was their wet dream. Lower taxes, getting to keep more money, getting to shovel it offshore, getting to play with the market, stock market always doing well, more things concerned about money and the economy. That was their dream. They were already making bank. They just made more. And they feel like that's getting taken away. And their whole identity became wrapped around like me, 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 me. It just so happens that the coronavirus pandemic hit. And what ended up happening even more so is now we're at a point where you have to care about other people. You have to like give to your brother. You have to give on to your neighbor. And what ends up happening with that is they're so accustomed to not understanding what empathy is or how to feel for somebody else without getting something from it, that we're now in a tailspin of, you're taking our entire world away from me. I can't be selfish anymore. I have to care about other people. Yeah, I'm sorry. The time has come. Welcome to it. The time has come. It's time for you to sit down on your little steps, and it's time for you to actually say, hey, you need something? You all right there? How can I help? Because now places are running 15% or lower ICUs. And another thing, oh God, I didn't want to get into a tangent, but angry Marquise is here. So I hear a lot about people saying, oh, so the flu disappeared, all the other causes of death disappeared, it's just COVID now? No. But because COVID is straining hospital systems, other people can't get treatment for what they need. Because let's say everybody who goes to the hospital has a pre-existing condition. Risking catching COVID to deal with the pre-existing condition can make your pre-existing condition worse. So they probably will opt out to not go to the hospital, which makes their condition worse, which is why we didn't want to stress the hospital systems. But people acted like we did it for a couple weeks. See, we did it. That's fine. Like, all right, let us get back on with our lives. And that's the problem, is that you're rushing things because you want things to feel normal for you. But the world is not normal. There are places right now hosting 60,000 people concerts because they beat the damn thing. And they keep locking their sights on to whenever it even begins to crop up again. We're just all in a, and again, this brings me back to the beginning of my stream. Are we just in fuck it mode now? Like, have we hit fuck it mode and that's it? Because if we hit that mode, then what we really need to talk about is how do we deprogram people to actually care for one another? How do we get empathy to be the driving force in our decisions, in our etiquette, in our manners, in our day-to-day conversations? How do we deal with that in the job sector? How do we deal with that in the market sector? Or is capitalism just the driving effort that we'll just live through where you say, oh, I'm going to work until I die, because without that, I'm not going to have any money, and without money, I can't enjoy life. There are other places on earth where that is not the standard, and people are happier. So I'm confused as to how they have less money, do more for their citizens, we have more money, and we do less for our citizens. You think this would be at the point where most people would start like revolting against politicians. Look, if you're in Congress, you're in the Senate, if you're in the House, if you're anywhere in one of those three branches of government, you're not getting your paycheck until you pass a stimulus bill. That's the end all be all. Nope, they collected their checks, went on vacation. Like, I'm going to throw a rock at you next time I see you. I'm sorry, like that's how it's going to be. Because of people like this. Because of people like this. It's a balancing effect. It depends on what the balance is, because democratic socialism would be the balance here. And the solutions to most of our problems are day to day. And when I say most of our problems, I mean working class, like poor people. The majority of the solutions that we would need to have better, more fulfilling lives for us and our next generation are sitting there. Are literally have been spoken about finally, but are sitting there, waiting for somebody to say, yeah, this is the right thing to do. And they just don't do it. They choose actively every day not to do it, which brings me back to the mega billionaires. You've got pastors making billions. You've got Jeff Bezos making billions. Elon Musk making billions. They could solve by giving one gift to every kid in America for Christmas. Everybody get one gift. Everybody get a system. Everybody get a basic PC. Let's pay for internet for the whole country for a month. And it wouldn't even break their banks. Like, they'd make more money off the advertising and general revenue of just their names being mentioned for doing a good humanitarian thing than anything they're doing right now. And they actively sit there and choose not to. There's gotta be something to link their active non-decisiveness with how our system is set up. Why would we allow that? And this goes back into what I was saying about the 3/4 if you've been here before. And if you haven't, well, I'll bring it up to you real quick. I've said before that having 3/4 in this day and age is not the same as having 3/4 100 years ago. We know that to be obvious. If you have 3/4 and you try to split these 3/4 up against a neighborhood of 7 million people, you're going to get somebody who's going to kill somebody. Like, that's clearly where that has to go. You cannot compromise splitting 3/4 among 7 million people. It's not going to work. Everybody's going to get a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a penny. Resources. So how do we let a billionaire take all the 3/4 and never spend them? So now what's left for the bottom floor? Nothing. They have to fight to find quarters. They got to go underneath their couches. They got to go into the street and hustle and bustle just to get the same 3/4. While the billionaires sit there with their hands on the 3/4, I would never spend it. This is why trickle-down economics doesn't work, because the spending power of billionaires does not match the spending power of literally anyone else on earth. Why don't we let some of these billionaires buy the buildings? Free rent for everybody. I'm paying the rent and bills for that whole building. Oh, you would say, well, then what about NYCHA? What about New York City Public Housing? What about any public housing organization in any of the 50 states? That doesn't happen either. Their budgets get rebalanced and defunded. So their housing becomes poor. Why don't we take the projects and tear them all down and put up high-rises there? And then take the people that we just displaced from the projects and let them live there. I promise you, in under a month, half of crime goes down. living situations. If somebody's living in a busted up apartment for 10 years, you really think they're going to feel motivated every day to get up and say, I'm going to change my surroundings? No, I'm comfortable. I can pay my rent. I can pay my bills, or my bills are covered. NYCHA covers electricity and heat and water. Like, why am I worried about, like, trying to increase my social status or my level? But there's also no play to that. You can't balance that because there's no focal point to where, okay, if I put myself in a better situation, I have more to lose now. There's no safety net. That becomes their safety net. So I'm going to pass this project apartment down to my children because that's the easier way for them to not have to worry about finding a place to live when they get older. Okay, if we're doing generational pass downs, all right, if you've lived in NYCHA projects for 40 years, you now own that apartment. Now tax rebates are going back to you. We'll put it in a fund. When you turn 70, 80, or when you're close to passing away, that fund goes straight to your kids. Easy solution. Like, this is not hard. This has never been difficult. None of what we're talking about right now has ever been difficult for any of these people to figure out. They just don't want to. They don't want to give you equity. They don't want you to, like, participate in that system. Because the more you educate your constituents on what they could have, the more they'll want. Because then they'll start saying, wait, we could have had tax rebates and, like, property ownership value on an apartment that we've been living in for 40 years? I never thought about that. What else could we have? A lot. You could have a lot. And they're going to strip you down to the bare minimum. And this is the power play for politicians. I'm going to drink all your water, and when you go to take a sip, there's only a drop left, so you're going to go, boom, bada boom, bada bing, bada boom. Awesome. And when you're out of water, one drip, two drip. When you're out of water, they're going to fill it up a tiny little bit. And they're going to tell you, that's all that we can spare for you. That's all we can spare for you. So when you find out that they've got a gallon there and they pour a lot in your cup, and you're like, oh, wait, no, we got more. You end up sitting there saying, how long have you had this water? And why have you never given me but a drop? Class revolution, baby. Anarchy!
I'm just saying that
I can't believe I went on a 15-minute tangent based on this one white woman. I fucking hate Karens, man.
numbers are not off by 30,000 votes. So
I know what
are you
I
saying
saw.
that they're filling in?
I know what I saw.
So she know what she saw above, like, everybody else. In a room, and I've had to learn this, I am a narcissist, I've had to learn this, in a room where everybody's telling you you've done something wrong, odds are, unless it's super egregious, you've probably done something wrong.
And I signed something saying that if I'm wrong, I can go to prison. Did you?
Literally, that's how you got up on the other side of the fucking aisle. I signed something saying that if I'm wrong, I go to prison. She's not going to prison. That's it. Like, if she gets indicted for anything, I'll punch myself in the face.
Because I just want to keep following back up with the poll book. So are we saying that the poll book is either wildly off or that they are filling in names?
It's wildly off, and dead people voted, and illegals voted. Okay. So that's my answer.
I think.
Well, before I even, because I got that same smile. Let's talk about this one sentence right here. It's wildly off, and dead people voted, and illegals voted. First, how do you know people are illegal? How do you have the sense? The same thing with, like, how do you know somebody's a Democrat or Republican just by looking at them? Well, you know, generally, there's a certain group of people, or you could just tell, would never have anything to do with the Democratic Party. But first of all, if you can't tell who's illegal and who's not, they voted. That's it. Like, that's it. There's enough checks and balances to not even have that. Dead people voted. Which dead people? Can you point out a name? Did you look at all the names and then refer them to an obituary? Like, did you make sure that the same name isn't of somebody who died 20 years ago who also happens to have the same name as somebody who's alive now? too many questions, too obvious, too simple. And as much as I would love to just sit here and be like, yeah, no, you're right, bro. It's terrible. It's fraud all over the place. It's not enough fraud to swing the fucking election. It's enough fraud for us to say, well, next time we probably don't want to wait to count in those mail-in ballots.